Welcome to Star Wars Action News, helping Star Wars collectors collect better.
There's a new book out. It's by Kevin J. Anderson, who appears to be shepherding the Star Wars novels with his Jedi Academy trilogy, and now with this new book, Darksaber. I haven't read it yet. I'm guessing it's about an inverted lightsaber that's maybe black-bladed or something. But here to review it is Brock.
This is Brock for Star Wars Action News, with a review of the new novel Darksaber by Kevin J. Anderson. Review copy courtesy of my mom and dad. 8 years after destroying the Death Star and defeating the Empire at the Battle of Endor, our heroes find themselves back fighting some familiar battles. Han and Leia are tracking down the Death Star plans, as they learn the Hutts are building a condensed version of the Death Star super laser, codenamed Darksaber, for their own dastardly plans. Luke is revisiting memorable planets and locations from his past in search for Obi-Wan Kenobi's spirit, so he may help his lady love Kallista get back in touch with the Force. And little do our heroes know that what is remaining of the Empire is being corralled together to plan an all-out attack on the New Republic. Such are the plots of Darksaber. You know, earlier this year with the releases of the Corellian Trilogy and Children of the Jedi, I was beginning to think that this expanded universe, and that's what they're calling these books, the Star Wars Expanded Universe, was getting a little too complicated for folks not keeping up with the novels. There are 13 novels now, 5 this year alone, not to mention the myriad of Dark Horse comics and those young reader books. If they aren't careful, they're going to start to intimidate people with so many books on the shelves. Yet, one of the strengths of this latest novel, Darksaber by Kevin J. Anderson, is that it helps to straighten out some of the continuity of these novels jumping around in the timeline. Anderson does this by weaving in not only his own characters from his previous works, but characters from Timothy Zahn and now Barbara Hambly's novel as well. And just as he showed us last year in his well-received Jedi Academy trilogy, Mr. Anderson knows how to add a Star Wars feel to the proceedings. Known characters, multiple concurrent storylines, a super weapon that needs to be destroyed, and just like with his last books, peppering in many locations and quotes from the movies to add familiarity. And because of this familiarity, the prose jumps right off the page. Such an easy book to take in. But this book's great strength is also this book's greatest weakness. Another super weapon? And what is the deal with Luke Skywalker's Star Wars Trilogy movie locations tour all around the galaxy? In this book alone, we go back to Jabba's palace, Yavin 4 again, Ben Kenobi's house on Tatooine, Echo Base on Hoth, the asteroid field outside of Hoth, Dagobah. While this approach certainly gives a great shorthand to the reader as they already know these locations, and the in-story reason actually makes some sense, the more known locations we visit, the more dialogue from the movie we read. It just doesn't play as well this time around, so no soup for you. The most egregious example of this is not only having Luke Skywalker return to Echo Base on Hoth, but having him just happen to run into a one-armed Wampa. Now, for the Wampa, I'm sure this is a day long remembered, being able to confront the man who maimed him when all he was doing was looking for his evening meal. But unfortunately, we don't read this scene from the Wampa's point of view. Now that would be something. Now we all know how the world can play that twist of fate game with us sometimes, like how when you're at the cafeteria and you keep running into that girl you've been avoiding that you drunkenly hooked up with early in the semester, you know. But a one-armed Wampa, all these years later? Could that be any more coincidental? I mean, that makes as much sense as the OJ verdict. Even though this book is called Darksaber, the central plotline of this novel is a continuation of Luke and Kallista's love story from Children of the Jedi. As you may know if you heard my Children of the Jedi review earlier this year, that you can find in the archives, that novel wasn't one of my favorite entries so far. But this idea of continuing this Kallista love story is a good one, as during the events of this book, we learn that she isn't completely cut off from the Force, just the light side of the Force, which opens up a dilemma for this character that could have wonderful ramifications for years to come. This could be the start of some wonderful plotlines and terrific character development for her and Luke. What if the love of Luke Skywalker's life was a Sith? I think they're setting up Kallista for some major plotlines in the future. We are going to see a lot of her for sure. I just know it. Most of my favorite scenes in this book come courtesy of the non-movie characters. There's some great scenes with Bevel Lemelisk, the inventor of the Death Star super laser and the creative mind behind the Darksaber. He has some choice scenes with Durga the Hutt over the Darksaber project, and their super laser on a budget stuff is quite humorous. The team-up of Admiral Dalla from Anderson's Jedi Academy trilogy and Admiral Pelion from Zahn's Thrawn trilogy are solid as they combine their minds to try to unite the remains of the Empire, and how they do it is a chapter not to be missed, straight out of Goldfinger, if you permit me to use an outdated reference. The characterizations of Luke, Han, Leia, and 3PO are fine. Their characters are pretty much in line with their movie personas. And unfortunately, here is yet another book where Chewbacca gets the short shrift. Now I get it that it's hard to write for a character who doesn't speak basic, the other characters having to translate for him in their dialogue. But look, if these authors aren't going to use Chewbacca properly, or say just keep shipping him off to see his family on Kashyyyk every other book, they might as well just kill him off. Speaking of death, I was impressed by the number of deaths in this book. They are plentiful, and almost all of them are not your run-of-the-mill Star Wars deaths, really reminding you that there's some real consequences to these actions. There is a cold mass killing, someone gets fried using the Force, and a movie character gets killed, something that has never happened before in these Star Wars novels. These new Star Wars authors make up and kill off quite a few of their own characters, but here they finally take a previously established movie character and give him a final send-off in just a terrific scene. In case you want to be surprised, I won't tell you who it is, but here's a hint. This guy's comb-over would make Marv Albert's hairpiece jealous. Structurally, the book concludes well. The Callisto-Luke love story has enough closure, there's an unexpected ending to the space battle led by Wedge Antilles to take out the Darksaber, and the Imperial fleet is defeated by an unlikely hero. Anderson unquestionably sets up the character of Dorsk 81 well on a narrative front, and it's likely many readers will be affected by his sacrifice. For all my complaints about this book, I have to admit Darksaber goes down like a cool drink of water on a hot summer day. While the overly familiar settings and characterizations do get annoying at times, the friendly prose and the strong Star Wars tone make for a book many Star Wars fans and even casual fans can enjoy. Darksaber is very accessible to people who know the movies who may not normally read Star Wars books. I could easily see it be a local library's Book of the Month selection, like for a book club. And wouldn't that be awesome? Heck, all these Star Wars books are hitting the New York Times bestseller list, why not? And with all these Star Wars books coming out lately, maybe one day there could be a Star Wars book club, where you'd read nothing but Star Wars books with other Star Wars fans. Oh man, that'd be excellent. I would love to be a part of something like that. But I digress. For Star Wars Action News, this is Brock. Thanks for watching this video. You can see full episodes of Star Wars Action News with more collecting news and reviews at swactionnews.com. We also have thousands of toy and collectible photos in our photo gallery. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. May the pegs be stocked and the Force be with you.